Very nice, gentlemen. Welcome back to the UMO Helsinki Jazz Orchestra trombone section. And this is our, an instructional or educational or both, an instructional and educational video about section playing. That was an excerpt from Sammy Nestico's Basie Straight Ahead. And I guess now's a good time to continue maybe talking about dynamics. I think dynamics would be a good one to talk about because we talked about balance before. And just now, once again, very impressed by the wonderful balance within the section. And we talked about some of those things earlier, but maybe let's talk about dynamics, because I noticed you guys are doing some dynamic shaping within the line. So maybe tell us a bit about that, Kasperi.
Right, so it's a general rule of thumb, though not a law, but most commonly you will tend to crescendo when the phrase ascends. So when the pitch goes up, you step on the gas a little bit, and conversely, when the melody comes down, you back off a little. So I'll sing an example. For example, here we have boo ba da dee da ba doo da be boo da be da ba doo ba dee do da boo do da dee do da boo ba dee da. So that's the way I sing jazz. So that's what I'd like to hear, and that's what I tend to do when I play music like this. The thing to bear in mind is that if you're playing a lower part than the melody, your line might be going in a different direction. So just listen to the lead player in that case. So if he's going up, you need to support him, even though your line might not be going up with the lead player. So just again listening to what's happening around you. And adapting.
Okay, now this is also something, because you as a lead player, this is something that you listen to the lead trumpet, and of course you go with them. So you're listening and very attuned to what the lead trumpet is doing and following them. And of course you expect your section to do that. But let's turn this question around to the section players. What do you expect or what do you need from your lead player? What are a lead player's responsibilities in your opinions as section players? I think Kasperi, you know what your responsibilities are. You feel that, right? To lead the section. So, to drive these crescendi, decrescendi, to listen very closely to the articulation, phrasing, and time of the lead trumpet. But what does a good lead trombone player do for you guys to help you? So tell us a little bit about that, Pekka.
Well, I think the one important thing is that the lead trombone player plays logically. It's because we can read his mind, and it makes it much easier to follow, because that's what we have to do. We have to follow lead trombone, and as Kasperi said, sometimes our lines go the opposite way that lead, then we have to just go with the lead.
Okay. And how important is consistency in a lead player? Consistency. Sort of doing the same, doing sort of the same, more or less the same thing most times. So if you have like 3 days of rehearsals.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant by logically.
Logic. Okay, yeah. Then it's sort of the same thing. So doing things in a logical manner.
Yeah.
But once again, sort of in a way that and expect. You can expect that they're going to do that each time, and of course, then you can also then adjust to it very quickly. Of course.
Sometimes we have to just talk what we want to do, but many times just listening what lead trombone plays.
So listening very closely. Okay, Juho, you'd like to say something?
Yeah, and as a substitute player who doesn't play in the section like regularly, I'm fortunate to be like quite often to substitute Mikke, but it's also every time when I come into the section and you guys play all the time, it's really important that I can hear from the lead player that like in the first phrases he plays that I can like adapt and I can hear those. So this is the note lengths, this is the type of phrasing, and this is how we are approaching like this piece, which is in a which we are playing. So it's really important for me as a substitute player also to hear what the lead player is doing, and if he's consistent and logical, it makes my job easier as a substitute.
Yeah, thank you. That's also very, because that was something else when we were talking to the trumpet section yesterday. The 4 trumpet players, they've been playing together as a section for 16 years. And you're a substitute, so this is a question to you. Yeah, what else do you have to be aware of when you're jumping in? You have 3 gentlemen, they play together all the time. Yes, you sub with the band quite a bit, but you're still not playing with them every day.
Yeah.
And it could be also in between these UMO gigs that you have, you're doing a bunch of other very different playing work.
Yeah.
So because so how do you adjust? Other than listening, are there any other things that you need to do when you come into the situation?
Yeah, well, of course you have to take a look at the music, get familiar, maybe listen to the recordings if you can before coming to the first rehearsal, and I think that in that case it's really important that for instance Kasper he's used to talk a lot. He talks a lot even in the tutti rehearsals, and that makes also my job really really much easier, because if I would just have to listen and like in the rehearsal and with all the things going on, it would be harder for me to adapt. But when the lead trombone player is giving instructions and his points of view or his thoughts about the music that we are playing, it makes the job for me to adapt to the section and to the band much easier. And I think that you just have to be familiar with the music beforehand and have your ears open, and also like ears open and mind open for the points that people are making around you musically and verbally.
Great. No, thank you very much, because that's also something, a preparation, and also speaking as a perspective as a band leader, if somebody comes in their sight reading, but they know about the music, or I can tell if somebody has listened to the music, or if if they've heard it before. That's actually much appreciated from my perspective as a band leader, and I'm sure as a trombone section, and when you have a new substitute or somebody coming in to sub with the section, if they're actively listening, if they have an open ears and an open mind, as just mentioned, but if they already sort of prepared a little bit, it just makes everything so much easier, right?
And if I can add just one thing, that it's something that when you jump in to the band and to the section, and if you haven't been like playing with these guys for like 2 months or for a year or whatever, so you just don't have to like perform 100% like instantly. For me, it normally takes like some time to like that I listen and okay, this is how they do it in UMO, and this is how do I have to adapt. And so it takes a little bit time, but you can prepare for it, but you don't have to be like too, how do you say, hard for yourself.
Exactly. I mean, there are generally rehearsals, and there is an expectation also from the side of the conductor that it does take some time for a section sound to develop if somebody new enters the section, of course. I mean, and that is to be expected. So, some very good things. And when you guys were just playing that excerpt with Basie straight ahead, one of the things that I also thought was very impressive is the fact that your phrasing and your time was very, very good. But sometimes, especially the inner voices of that excerpt and some other things, sometimes the movement of the slide and the intervals are a little bit awkward. And Mikko, what were you doing a little bit to make sure that your phrasing and time was good, even though some of the phrases are a little bit awkward on the second trombone? What were you doing?
It's called ghost notes.
Okay, ghosting some of the stuff.
Swallow.
Yeah, is swallowing them. So here, why don't you play? Why don't you demonstrate? How if you played the line literally, without ghosting, this is what it would sound like. Yeah, because of the long movement, it sounds a bit awkward. But if you were to ghost the phrase, Exactly. It sounds much more believable as a jazz line. And of course, it matches the articulation of the lead trombone. So once again, finding solutions in the inner voices in the section to match the phrasing, articulation, and time of the lead player. And that's not written in the part. So this is something that is expected for you to do when you're playing one of the inner voices in the section. So, these are some of the responsibilities of the lead player. Consistency, logic, being a strong leader, but also of the section player, finding solutions, constant listening, active listening, and of course to the lead trombone player, but also to other things that are happening around you or in the orchestra. So those are some very, very good points. So we're going to end this video for now, and we're going to be back. Our next video is going to talk about intonation and about plunger technique. So once again, the UMO Helsinki Jazz Orchestra trombone section. Thank you.